Let me tell you a story. Elliot had been sitting in the station for longer than he cared to admit. His ticket home sat untouched in his coat pocket, the departure time long since passed. He should have left by now, should have chosen by now, but choosing meant moving forward, and moving forward meant change. And change, no matter how inevitable, had never come easily to him. The station was empty except for an old man nodding off near the newspaper stand and the station master who hadn't so much as looked in Elliot's direction. Even the air felt unmoving, thick with the weight of decisions unmade. A single moth circled overhead, its wings casting fleeting shadows from the light against the yellowed walls. The station clock had stopped at 11:47 p.m. Not broken exactly, just still, as if it had never intended to move forward again. Elliot adjusted the strap of his satchel, shifting on the wooden bench. Then came the sound. Not the distant hum of a city settling in for the night, but something closer. The deep, rhythmic breathing of a locomotive approaching. Strange, Elliot thought. There were no scheduled trains at this hour. A gust of wind stirred the station, and out of the mist, the train emerged. Dark steel, gilded trim, and windows that reflected nothing but the unknown. The train slowed but never fully stopped. The door to the nearest car creaked open, revealing a dimly lit corridor lined with plush seats, guarded by the conductor. He was an imposing figure in a deep navy coat, cap shadowing his eyes. He spoke without hesitation. "You've been expected." Elliot searched for words. I don't have a ticket." The conductor's lips curled, not quite in a smile. No one ever does. A flicker of something that he couldn't put his finger on urged him forward. His feet moved before his mind had fully decided, and the moment he stepped inside, the door slid shut behind him, sealing the decision. The train lurched forward, smooth and silent. Elliot sank into a seat by the window, though there was nothing outside to see but deep and endless fog. The train's interior was warm and timeless, as if it belonged to no particular era. Across the aisle, a woman in a flowing dress traced patterns in the frost of her window as she hummed an old tune. Further down, a man in a pressed suit paged through a well-worn book. No one looked at each other, and yet Elliot knew they all shared something unspoken. The conductor made his rounds through the car. "You'll want to rest now. We'll arrive soon." Elliot opened his mouth to ask where they were going, but found the question faded before the words could leave his mouth. His eyelids grew heavy, and the rhythm of the tracks lulled him into something deeper than sleep. For the first time in a long time, he wasn't worried about the destination. A soft chime echoed through the car, pulling Elliot from his slumber. Then a voice over the speaker. "Next stop, elsewhere." Elliot's fingers gripped against the armrest. Elsewhere? He'd never heard of that. Turning toward the window, he expected to see more darkness, but instead the outside world seemed to be shifting. Not quite a landscape, and not quite a dream, but something in between. Elliot caught glimpses of things half remembered flickering in the glass. His childhood bedroom bathed in the morning light. A bookstore he used to visit that had long since closed. The street view of an apartment he once called home. None of it was real, and yet for a moment it seemed to be. Elliot looked around the train. The woman across the aisle watched the window with a quiet sort of reverence, her fingers still tracing those delicate patterns in the frost. The man with the book had stilled, his gaze locked on a place only he could see. The train was moving forward, but time, it seemed, was moving backward. Elliot's breath caught as he whispered, "Where are we? The conductor appeared at his side as if summoned by the question. It's different for everyone, he said. Elsewhere isn't a destination. It's a collection of moments. Elliot turned back to the window, watching the shifting scenes. Memories, possibilities, echoes of things finished. His fingers twitched with the urge to reach out, to step through the glass and back into those fleeting fragments of the past, the comfort of the known. The train began to slow. Up ahead, a station materialized beyond the mist. The conductor adjusted his gloves. This is where you choose. Elliot's pulse quickened. Choose what? The conductor's eyes, shadowed beneath his cap, held deep understanding. To stay in elsewhere, or to move forward. The brakes gave a final, gentle sigh as the train came to a full stop. The doors slid open, revealing a platform lined with glowing lanterns. It looked welcoming and familiar. Elliot's feet didn't move. He watched as the woman in the flowing dress stood. The man with the book closed its pages. One by one, the passengers stepped forward, each with a quiet certainty that Elliot didn't yet feel. The conductor waited. Elliot swallowed. The train was warm, safe, known. The world outside was not. He glanced at the conductor, took a deep breath, and pushed himself from the leather of his seat. Before he crossed the threshold, he turned back to the conductor. With a quiet certainty he hadn't felt in years, Elliot tipped his hat. The conductor returned the gesture. And with that, Elliot stepped off the train and disappeared into the mist. The doors slid closed. The train gave a gentle lurch, and with it, the world outside shifted once more. The woman in the flowing dress had returned to her window. The man with the book had reopened its pages. The train moved forward, endless, eternal, waiting for the next traveler with no ticket and a need for elsewhere. Sweet dreams, my friend.